Right? Biur Halacha and Siman Kuf Vav talks about the concept of the Sachar and Zevulun. A person goes to business and he makes earnings. So in Siman Resh Mem Vav, Shulchan Aruch talks about a person who doesn't have time to learn, he can at least support somebody who learns. So therefore you make an agreement, a contract, where a person will be like Zevulun supporting Yisachar to learn, and they split the reward. They're going to have that he learned all those hours during that day. It's considered the businessman also learned all those hours during the day because he supported him. Really, there's a mahloket. You have to give half of your earnings. Let's say I made $10 million this year. So one opinion says you have to give $5 million to the Tamid Chacham that you're supporting, Palavina. He's going to give you his reward, so you have to give half the earnings. It's a partnership. Other opinions say you have to at least give him his basic necessities, whatever he needs for the year to survive. That's what you need to give. A person can give less, he can give whatever he can give, but you should know the reward will also be different. It won't be the same that you get all the reward that he learned. To get all the reward that he learned, that's as if you learned, you have to pay. You have to pay at least his basic necessities, or the other opinion says half of what you earned in business. So therefore, a person has to know there's a concept Sechar Zvulun, and all the Harim explain that when a person goes to Shamayim, he will know all the Torah that this person learned, that Yisachar learned, and he will sit in the same Olam Haba as the Talmid Chacham because he supported him. And so much so, the pasuk in the Torah puts Zevulun before Yisachar. And when it says Esmach Zevulun b'tzetecha, it says you should be joyous Zevulun when you go out to work. He puts him first in the pasuk, it gives him more kavod than he gives to Yisachar. So you see, the Torah really praises very much so the person who supports Talmidei Chachamim. Of course, the mitzvah of tzedakah is very important. Everybody has to give proper amount of maaser. Everybody has to give maaser. And all the institutions in our community only survive. And this is we give maaser, our Bate Knesiot, the Kolelim, the Kiruv organizations, all the nice places where a person wants to open a JCC, a person wants to open a place for people to congregate and to have activities in the community. All these things only happen when there's money available to do great things for the community. So therefore, if nobody gives maaser and says, well, it's my money, I worked for it, and I do whatever I want with it, Haz v'shalom, so we stop. We won't be able to build and advance the community. The schools won't grow. The kolelim will not be able to grow. Haz v'shalom. And we need kolelim. We need people to become Talmidei Chachamim in order to hire them, become rabbis of the community. The community is only be as good as the rabbis are. We need to have good schools so our children are educated and the schools survive off of this, that people take upon themselves to build the schools and to raise them and to give them maaser. But if everybody thinks, no, it's my money, I do whatever I want, he does 3-4 times remont for his house, but he doesn't want to give tzedakah to the institutions, so then we have a big problem. As we know, the Rambam says that the Geula only will come through tzedakah. What does that mean? That all the kiruv that we do and all the advancement of Torah and mitzvot that we do all stand on tzedakah. If we have given tzedakah properly, so then we will bring the Geula. But it starts from giving tzedakah properly. As we know, the Rambam says also, the Gemara says, nobody ever became poor from giving tzedakah. A person has to be not nervous because the Chazal tell us that you're giving a loan to who? To HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When you give tzedakah, Hashem sees this. I don't think Hashem doesn't see. Hashem sees very well what you did, and He will come back and support you when you need Him. As the person has to realize that all the money we have, who is it from? It's from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Divrei Yamim writes pasuk clearly that don't be stingy when I give you, because you have to know who did they give you in the beginning, who said you go to work and you make parnasa, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave it to us, so we also have to give it to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who He wants us to give it to. As we know that our money is not really ours, it's like a deposit. Hashem says, take this money, do good things with it, do mitzvot with this. And we have to give it to the proper person. The Midrash Tanhuma says, a person who gets parnasa and he doesn't give tzedakah properly, it's like stealing. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you this money for a reason. You're holding it for personal reasons. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you this money to give tzedakah and to help other people. It's considered like stealing, the Midrash says. So therefore a person has to make sure that if you fulfill the mitzvah, the oraita, patoch tiftach, to open your hand, not to be stingy. And the person who fulfills mitzvah tzedakah, it's like the Yerushalmi says, it's as if you fulfilled all the mitzvah in the Torah. It's tzedakah tatzil mimavet, the Gemara says. Maggid Masechet Sukkah says, giving tzedakah is more valuable than mitzvah of giving a sacrifice in the temple. So you see, there's a great mitzvah, and it's sometimes overlooked. It's neglected, and they say, no, let them work. Why should I give them money? Let them go make money like I did. Why did Hashem give you money? Why were you successful and the guy next to you wasn't successful? Because Hashem gave you more money to give tzedakah. So therefore we have to work on this to give tzedakah properly. Our community will only grow if we learn to give tzedakah. We know how to throw parties. We know how to build nice houses. We need to learn to give tzedakah b'shefa properly. Give maaser every month. And the Shulchan Aruch says, a person who wants to be generous, up to 20% of his earnings he should give tzedakah. And the Shulchan Aruch says, a person who wants to be generous, up to 20% of his earnings he should give tzedakah. That's the lechatchila, that's the most preferred way of fulfilling the mitzvah tzedakah, to give 1/5 of your earnings. So therefore, a person has to know there's many great communities only developed. Rav Sion Levi alav shalom, he came to Panama and he made a beautiful Jewish community over there. And how are they successful? You ask any person who's very wealthy, lives there. They have a lot of beit knesset, a lot of kashrut. They have the biggest kosher supermarket in the entire world in Panama. Why? Because they were very successful. Every single person said, Rav Sion Levi came, he told every single one of us, you have to give 20% tzedakah. That's the only way our community is going to survive. And that's how they're so successful. All of them are multimillionaires, all of them are very well-to-do people. B'zchut what? B'zchut they give 20% tzedakah. So a person has to realize, there's two types of people in the world. The people who only see here, or the people who see in the long run. The person who gives tzedakah, he sees the long run. The person who says, I don't want to give tzedakah, why should I give? He only sees here, and he doesn't realize that the community will suffer because of that. So we have to work on taking upon ourselves to give tzedakah properly. I'll end with a story. Rav Yitzchak Dana Barbanel, alav shalom, he was the treasurer for the king of Spain. So they used to say lashon hara about him, that he was stealing from the king, and the king finally audited him and said, listen, we got to do an audit. I want to see really what's going on with you. So he says, I want you to write down how much money you earned this year, how much money is yours. So he filled out the paper, and he showed him the balance sheet, and he says only $100,000. He says, what? You kidding me? You only got $100,000 this year? I know I gave you more. I know you have more. You're lying to me. You are stealing from me, I see. He says, no, let me explain to you. This money is really mine. All this other money that I spent and I earned and I got through salary and I got all that is not really mine. This olam hazeh, this $100,000 is the money I gave tzedakah this year. So therefore, this money is really going to be mine. When I go to Shamayim, usually nobody takes money with them to Olam Haba. Everything stays here. This money I'm going to take with me to Olam Haba. It's going to be waiting for there in the form of tzedakah. So we should also to really send our money to where? To Olam Haba, and not to only think about Olam Hazeh.